Shocking rumor. The disgusting mystery of Lilibet is hidden by Meghan and Harry. Today, according to the latest news from an insider, and I will have to say it is unconfirmed, it comes from California. Mr. Benjamin Smallbrook explains that, "I've thought a lot about whether to tell you this because although it has come through a contact known to me at a news agency in London, it is currently a rumor that's flying around between journalists who are anxious to find the truth." When you think about it, it would be impossible for this rumor to be confirmed by the actress because the game would then be all over for her. Word is leaked out from an IVF clinic in California that Markle is livid with them. It's been said by many that Markle was never pregnant with Archie and Lilibet. The reason given is that a surrogate was used, but the rumor becomes more bizarre by the minute. Apparently, their genetic selection went wrong. It's being reported that they wanted a girl with blonde hair and blue eyes, and would appear that these conditions were not met, and this is why we are not being shown any photographs. Isn't it strange that the couple who did this during the Oprah interview have chosen not to show us their daughter? The hard-nosed journalists are being mischievous when saying, Meghan Markle is proud of her American heritage, and let's hope the baby looks like her grandma. One thought that somebody has come up with is that the actress, who is quick to sue everyone, dare not sue the IVF clinic for not providing her with a blue-eyed and blonde-haired girl. Can you imagine how this would be reported around the world? If she truly loved Harry and loved her children and her intentions were honorable, she would have used a surrogate openly and rejoiced at the birth. Instead, she looked like a fool parading around clutching a phony bump. It was like she was able to give up a biological child, then I doubt she is bonded with either of her two children, if they even exist. This just confirms that nothing was more important than getting those titles and royal children to monetize her future. No doubt a blonde-haired and blue-eyed girl would be the reincarnation of Diana. Who else could she be? How could the couple have earned a child who would have been paraded every day as Harry's long-departed mother? I'm glad Meghan Markle didn't get what she wanted. That poor child would have had a very poor quality of life. Not to mention Archie, if he even exists, would have been in the shadows and probably ignored. So now we have baby Lilibet appearing in the line of succession with a name that angers the royal family that the Queen has never seen and whose parents are refusing to show us. If this was the storyline for a film, nobody would believe it. If it turns out to be true, it would be the most despicable thing possible. For one, it would imply that they're disappointed in their child not being what they paid for. Doesn't it take time for a baby's final eye color to come through anyhow? Many question whether or not Lilibet exists. Isn't it odd that no one, not one member of Harry and Meghan's staff, the pool boy or delivery service has leaked the truth, one way or the other? I'd call it downright miraculous. 2 surrogate or completely faked births in 2 different hospitals in 2 different countries, and not one peep has been heard from anyone, not a nurse, not a doctor, not the guy who mops the hospital floors, not the lactation consultant. More than that, we're supposed to believe that there are 2 surrogate mothers who have made lifetime commitments to stay close to the Sussexes and lend out their babies whenever a photo is required. Because the people who support the surrogate theory also believe that Meghan isn't capable of raising either children. She just borrows a surrogate's kids when she needs one for publicity. Unless we subscribe to the lifelike baby doll theory, which insists that there's never been any Sussex babies at all. The Queen just made smiley faces at a doll in the first meeting. Photos. And both Her Majesty and the Archbishop of Canterbury willingly committed fraud by giving a doll a royal christening and allowing it to be in the line of succession. I'm not sure which theory is more farcical. Meanwhile, Harry's blaming the Queen for passing down genetic pain through his father, Prince Charles. What I think is that Harry didn't come up with that little nugget on his own. We have the narcissist Meghan Markle to thank for it. According to a health article on firstpost.com, people who are constantly abused by narcissists, e.g. spouses, tend to believe a distorted version of reality, as they are constantly lied to and manipulated. They become skeptical about everything and find it hard to trust others, as they have been conditioned conditioned to do so by their abuser. Among other things, Meghan may well have introduced to Harry the idea of his supposed genetic pain to the severe bond as it was between Harry and Charles. According to Medium.com, a common method narcissists use to isolate their partners is to continuously say bad things about people, e.g. Harry's family, around them, and is trying to set them against those people. By suggesting to Harry that he was suffering genetic pain and that Charles was to blame for essentially handing over his own genetic pain to Harry, instead of breaking the cycle, that it served as a great vehicle to influence Harry's already manipulated mind. This is all good and well had Harry not been married to a narcissist, because now Harry has to deal with something far worse, in my opinion. On the authority of marriage.com, the effects of being married to a narcissist includes potentially questioning your sanity, gaining a feeling of loneliness, beginning to lose enthusiasm, giving in to the demands of a narcissist more and more, becoming more aware of your faults, even ones that don't exist, experiencing issues with trust, and feeling disempowered because of the control being constantly asserted over you by the narcissist. Many of us carry genetic pain, especially if you think about how strict previous generations were as a result of our parents and their parents living in much more conservative times. There was not often a lot of affection openly expressed, or perhaps you were to be seen but not heard, etc. Do I, or more importantly, can I blame my parents for the way I was raised if they were raised in exactly the same way? How you change what you don't know. The way I see it, they did the best they could with what they had. Clearly telling the world about your father's and his mother's genetic pain has been passed on to you does nothing to relieve the pain that you've been conditioned by the narcissist to feel. On the contrary, it simply adds, and now Harry has two problems: coming to terms with his possible genetic pain and being in an abusive relationship with a narcissist. Harry wraps himself up in exquisite victimhood. That much is clear. Did he inherit actual genetic pain? He seems to be confusing actions or omissions from his grandmother or his father with the stuff that goes on inside his cells. Not too bright. Yet it does seem that poor Harry may have inherited some predispositions from his great-great-uncle Edward rather than miserable existence. A load of feeble genes dumped upon him down through the ages, resulting in a certain predisposition to want to have his cake and eat it too. Edward was a weak man with a feeble mind who was never drawn to the prospect of being king. When the British government and the Church of England in several realms refused him permission to marry Wallis, he preferred to give up his throne and throw his country and realms into chaos, rather than to do without Wallis's sexual ministrations. Edward became the first royal bolter, and Harry is the second, even though he was freely permitted to marry Markle. Still, that wasn't enough. So you see, you don't have to look far from Windsor Castle's apple tree to see where Harry's genetics came from. Straight from Edward VIII. This business about what his dad and the Queen did or did not do is just an excuse. No one has a perfect upbringing. We are all filled with what-if questions. Fortunately for everyone, he was second-born, thereby avoiding any possibility of another abdication crisis at the hands of a foreign-born vampire.